Hello, everyone. Have you ever felt that quiet tug of curiosity, the sense that our world is holding on to a secret just beneath the surface? Tonight, we are stepping into one of the oldest mysteries on Earth, a story carved into stone across continents. And strangely enough, no matter where we look, deserts, jungles, mountain valleys, or forgotten plains, the same shape keeps rising in front of us like a whisper from a distant age. Pyramids. They tower in the sands of Egypt, stand hidden beneath the forests of China, stretch across the highlands of Peru, and even appear on remote Indonesian hillsides. Civilizations that never met, separated by oceans, languages, and thousands of years, somehow built monuments that look astonishingly alike. Not just in shape, but in precision. Their angles match. Their proportions repeat. And their orientations point to the same celestial markers as if following one global blueprint. It is one of history's most persistent patterns. These ancient structures align to true north with uncanny accuracy. They track the rising of specific stars. They use mathematical ratios that would not be formally defined until much later in human history. And no matter which culture built them, they were constructed with a level of care and intention that feels almost synchronized. So the question becomes impossible to ignore. How did so many ancient societies, isolated from one another, choose the same design? Coincidence is the simple answer. But the deeper you look, the more that explanation begins to feel incomplete. These pyramids were not random structures. They were statements silent, enduring, and strangely connected. Tonight, we are going to explore why. And the story behind this global pattern may change the way you see our past forever. If the pyramids of the world truly share a hidden connection, then one location may hold the earliest chapter of that story long before Egypt, long before Mesopotamia, long before anything we call civilization. High in the mist-covered highlands of West Java sits a place that does not look extraordinary at first glance. To passing travelers, it might appear to be nothing more than a grassy hill shaped by time and weather. But beneath that quiet surface lies something far older and far more complex than anyone expected. Gunung Padang. For generations, local communities treated this hill as sacred, believing it was built by ancestors who lived before a great flood. Early explorers noticed stone blocks arranged in terraces along its slopes, but assumed it was simply an old ceremonial site placed on top of a natural hill. That explanation lasted nearly a century until modern technology peeled back the layers. When researchers returned with ground-penetrating radar, seismic scans, and core drilling, the picture changed dramatically. Hidden beneath the soil were multiple layers of structured stone, chamber-like voids, and geometric formations stacked deep within the hill. The deeper they scanned, the more the hill began to resemble a deliberately constructed monument rather than a natural formation. Then came the shock. Organic materials pulled from its interior returned dates as early as 25,000 to 14,000 BC. That would place the origins of Gunung Padang, long before agriculture, long before the first cities, and long before any known large-scale construction on Earth. If these results hold true even partially, they challenge the entire timeline of human development. Maybe the story of monumental building did not begin in the Nile Valley or the Andes. Maybe it began here, on a quiet Indonesian hillside, built by hands far older than history remembers. If Gunung Padang represents a possible beginning, then Egypt's Great Pyramid stands as the masterpiece, the point where this mysterious architectural idea reached its highest level of perfection. Rising above the Giza Plateau, the Great Pyramid does not just dominate the desert skyline. It challenges our understanding of what ancient builders were capable of. From a distance, it looks massive and silent. But the closer you examine it, the more impossible it becomes. Every side measures almost exactly the same length. Its base spans more than 13 acres, yet the corners meet with near-perfect precision. And its alignment to true north is so accurate that even many modern structures fail to match it. Inside, narrow shafts point to specific stars. Outside, its slope encodes mathematical constants that would not be formally described until thousands of years later. None of this seems accidental. None of it feels like the product of guesswork. And then comes the strangeness. There are no detailed construction records. No blueprints. No inscriptions explaining how it was built. For a civilization that carved stories on walls, tombs, coffins, temples, and statues, the silence surrounding the construction of their greatest monument feels almost intentional. Even the accepted timeline raises questions. Completing such a massive structure in just 2 decades would require placing a multi-ton block every few minutes, day and night, without pause. And yet the pyramid stands today as if its builders were working with a level of coordination and knowledge far ahead of their era. If this truly is the perfected form of the pyramid blueprint, then someone or something knew exactly what they were doing. And Egypt may only be the middle of the story, not the beginning. If Egypt showcases the perfection of pyramid architecture, then China offers something very different: silence, restriction, and a landscape hiding more than it reveals. Across Shaanxi province, home to ancient capitals, imperial tombs, and legendary dynasties, lie dozens upon dozens of pyramid-shaped mounds. From the sky, their symmetry is unmistakable. Some are small, others enormous, and a few are so large that early Western pilots believe they rivaled or even surpassed the pyramids of Egypt. And yet, unlike Egypt's monuments, these structures are not displayed proudly. They are covered with earth, planted with forests, reshaped to resemble hills, and officially described as simple burial mounds of little archaeological importance. But the details tell a different story. Many of these mounds align precisely with the cardinal directions, just like Giza. Some match the pattern of Orion's belt again, just like Giza. And when researchers tested the soil around certain mounds, they detected unusually high levels of mercury, echoing descriptions of ancient texts that spoke of subterranean chambers with rivers of liquid metal. Ground surveys have revealed tunnels and chamber-like voids inside multiple mounds, yet excavations remain strictly forbidden. Permits are denied. Access is limited. Satellite images of sensitive areas have even been blurred or downgraded over the years. The official explanation: preservation. But the practical result is the same. Whatever lies within these structures remains untouched, unseen, and unconfirmed. To many researchers, this raises a difficult question. Are these mounds merely royal tombs or remnants of a much older tradition that China is not ready to reinterpret? Because if even one of these pyramids predates the dynasties attributed to them, it would reshape not just Chinese history, but the entire global timeline of early civilization. And the silence surrounding them only deepens the mystery. If China represents silence, then Bosnia represents something even more revealing: resistance. Not from nature, but from institutions themselves. In the quiet town of Visoko, a hill rises with edges far too straight, slopes far too even, and a summit far too symmetrical to ignore. In 2005, researcher Samir Osmanagic claimed it was not a hill at all, but a buried pyramid. One potentially larger than any known structure in the ancient world. The reaction was immediate and intense. At first, the idea sounded impossible. Yet when excavation teams peeled back the soil, they uncovered flat stone terraces arranged in stacked layers. Beneath the surface, a network of tunnels stretched in multiple directions, linking several nearby hills that he named the Pyramid of the Moon, the Pyramid of the Dragon, and others, each seemingly aligned to cardinal directions. Ground scans detected geometric cavities. Instruments picked up rhythmic signals at the summit. Volunteers unearthed what appeared to be paved walkways and tool-marked stones. Radiocarbon samples returned dates ranging from a few thousand years old to tens of thousands, though results were inconsistent. But instead of curiosity, the discovery met fierce opposition. Mainstream archaeologists dismissed the formations as natural geology shaped by erosion. International institutions warned the Bosnian government that the project was pseudoscience. Media outlets treated the entire site as a joke. And yet, people who visited often reported the same feeling: uncertainty. The hill did not behave like a normal hill. What this controversy really highlights is a pattern we have seen before. Whenever a discovery threatens to stretch the accepted timeline of civilization, the response is swift deny first, investigate later, or never at all. Bosnia, like Indonesia and China, sits at the crossroads of possibility. Maybe natural, maybe ancient, but undeniably mysterious. And the stronger the pushback becomes, the more people begin to wonder what everyone is so afraid of discovering. If Bosnia raises questions and China hides its structures, then the Americas bring something different to the story: scale. A scale so vast that it can't be dismissed, buried, or ignored. From the deserts of Peru to the highlands of Mexico, from Guatemala's deep jungles to the ridges of the Andes, thousands of pyramids rise across the landscape, some restored, some crumbling, many still swallowed by forest. And the deeper researchers look, the clearer the pattern becomes. These cultures were building with a shared purpose, using knowledge that seems too widespread to be coincidence. Peru's ancient city of Caral, one of the earliest known urban centers in the Americas, was full of step pyramids built not for war, but for ceremony, astronomy, and gathering. No weapons, no signs of conquest, just geometry, alignment, music, and order. In Mexico, Teotihuacan stretches across the valley floor like a cosmic blueprint. Its pyramids mirror celestial cycles, and its layout is angled in perfect rhythm with the stars. Acoustic engineering allows a single clap to echo back like the call of a sacred bird, a sound intentionally built into the stone. Farther north, Guatemala's El Mirador rises out of the jungle in staggering volume. Its massive pyramids rival, or even surpass, those of Giza, connected by ancient road networks stretching across the region. These were not isolated tribes, they were linked societies, sharing ideas across distance and time. And woven into their cultural memory is something even more intriguing: the stories. The Inca spoke of Viracocha, a gentle figure who appeared after a great flood to restore knowledge. The Maya and Aztecs spoke of Quetzalcoatl, a teacher who arrived to guide humanity before mysteriously departing. Different names, different traditions, but always the same pattern: a visitor after a catastrophe, bringing wisdom of the stars, agriculture, and architecture. Myth or memory? In the Americas, the line between the two feels incredibly thin. If the visible pyramids of the world already raise questions, then what new technology is uncovering today makes the mystery even larger. Because for the first time in history, we can look beneath the surface, beneath jungles, deserts, mountains, and even ice, and what is appearing is nothing short of astonishing. Across South America, LiDAR scans, lasers fired from aircraft, have peeled back the forest canopy to reveal entire cities no one knew existed. Perfect squares, long causeways, massive platforms, and step mounds stretch across regions once believed too harsh for complex societies. What looked like untouched rainforest is now revealed to be a forgotten network of settlements and ceremonial centers. In Guatemala, the same technology uncovered hundreds of thousands of hidden structures, roads, canals, plazas, platforms, and pyramids connecting what were once thought to be isolated Maya sites into a vast, integrated civilization. In the Andes, landslides and erosion have exposed stone terraces and platforms buried for centuries. Some sites appear older, deeper, and more complex than previously imagined. And it does not stop there. Beneath the sands of the Sahara, radar imaging has detected geometric outlines and grids that resemble lost cities swallowed by shifting dunes. In the Sinai Peninsula, storms sometimes briefly reveal stone foundations before the desert reclaims them again. Even Antarctica holds pyramid-like formations that spark debate, officially described as natural peaks. Yet their symmetry raises questions about what might lie beneath the ice. What these discoveries reveal is simple but profound. Much of early human history is still underground. Cities that thrived thousands of years ago may remain buried beneath forests, deserts, and mud, hidden by time rather than erased. And as technology continues to expose more of these forgotten landscapes, the story of our past is expanding faster than anyone expected, and in directions we are only beginning to understand. If buried cities reveal how much we have lost, then the engineering of the monuments we can see forces us to question how much we truly understand. Because everywhere these ancient structures appear, Egypt, Lebanon, Bolivia, Peru, the same puzzle comes back again and again. How did early societies move, cut, and shape stones so massive they strain even modern machinery? In Egypt, the Great Pyramid required over 2 million blocks, many weighing several tons. Some granite pieces inside the structure weigh up to 50 to 80 tons and were transported from quarries hundreds of kilometers away. Even today, moving and positioning blocks of that size would demand heavy cranes and precise equipment. Yet the ancient builders achieved perfect joints so tight that even a slip of paper cannot fit between them. In Lebanon, the megaliths of Baalbek push the question even further. Blocks exceeding 800 tons lie perfectly seated within temple foundations. One unfinished stone still in its quarry is estimated at more than 1,000 tons. No modern construction company moves stones of that size without specialized machinery, so how did ancient builders do it? Then there is Pumapunku in Bolivia. Its stone blocks are carved with precision-cut grooves, right angles, and drill holes that look more like components of a machine than parts of a temple. Some of the cuts are so exact that engineers say they would require advanced tools. Today, across all these sites, one question keeps rising. Why use stones so enormous when smaller ones would have been easier, faster, and safer? Many theories attempt to explain the logistics, water transport, ramps, counterweights, sled systems. But none account fully for the precision. None explain the machine-like cuts or the perfect alignments repeated across continents. The deeper you look, the more the ancient world begins to resemble not a primitive past, but a chapter built on techniques and understanding that somehow slipped away. And we are only beginning to ask the right questions. If the engineering of ancient monuments seems intentional, then their mathematics make that intention unmistakable. Because once you begin measuring these structures, not just their height or width, but their angles, alignments, and proportions, a new layer of meaning begins to emerge. A layer that suggests ancient builders were not only constructing monuments, they were encoding knowledge. Across continents, the same numbers appear again and again: 72, 108, 216, 432. Numbers tied directly to the cycle of Earth's axial precession, the slow wobble of the planet that takes about 25,920 years to complete. Whether in Egypt, India, Mesoamerica, or the Andes, these numbers show up in temple dimensions, mythic ages, and sacred calendars. They form a mathematical fingerprint that repeats globally. The Great Pyramid's slope angle, 51.8 degrees, encodes both pi and the golden ratio mathematical constants that would not be formally documented for thousands of years. Yet the same proportions appear in pyramids built by cultures with no known contact. The alignments tell a similar story. Many pyramids orient themselves not only to the cardinal directions, but to specific stars: Orion, Sirius, the Pleiades. These were not random choices. They were celestial markers tied to cycles of time, rebirth, and cosmic order. Taken together, the evidence feels intentional. A global pattern of architecture built on shared geometry and cosmic timing. Some researchers believe this was a universal language knowledge preserved in stone because stone survives. The idea is simple: even if writing is lost, numbers endure. Ratios remain. Alignments can be rediscovered. In this view, pyramids were not only monuments. They were messages, data, encoded in angles, proportions, and star paths. A timeless archive meant to be understood by anyone in any era who could read the language of geometry. And maybe, Just maybe, that is exactly what we are starting to do now. If all these patterns, geometry, alignment, precision, sacred numbers point in the same direction, then the final idea is the most profound of all, the possibility that pyramids were never just monuments, but messages. Messages crafted to survive disaster, memory loss, and the erasing power of time itself. Across cultures, flood myths describe a world destroyed and rebuilt. And in many of those stories, survivors carry fragments of knowledge from an earlier age, knowledge of the stars, the earth, and the cycles of time. When you place those myths next to the global pyramid pattern, a new picture emerges. Perhaps these structures were built to preserve essential knowledge after a catastrophe, ensuring the next civilization would not have to start from nothing. The Great Pyramid's proportions mirror Earth itself. Teotihuacan aligns to celestial cycles with uncanny precision. Carol El Mirador and Gunung Padang embed geometry older than history. China's mounds echo the same star patterns found in Egypt. It is as if humanity kept trying to rebuild one original idea over and over across continents and generations. Some believe this points to a forgotten civilization, one that existed before rising seas and shifting climates buried vast landscapes. Others think humans simply rediscovered the same principles repeatedly, guided by intuition and careful observation. But no matter which explanation you choose, one thing becomes clear. The pyramids were built to last and built to speak. Even today, when modern tools scan their interiors, they reveal hidden chambers, temperature anomalies, electromagnetic patterns, clues suggesting that these structures hold more than stone. They hold intention. And the more we uncover, the more their message begins to surface. A reminder written in geometry. A warning written in alignment. A memory written in stone. Maybe we are not just excavating the past, we are finally learning to read it. As we step back from this journey from Indonesia's misty terraces to Egypt's golden sands, from China's hidden hills to the vast jungles of the Americas, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Our world is filled with echoes. Echoes of ideas that keep resurfacing, shapes that reappear across continents, and knowledge that seems older than any single civilization. Whether these pyramids were born from shared human genius or inherited from a time long forgotten, they challenge us to look at history not as a straight line, but as a cycle, one we are only beginning to understand. Maybe the real story of humanity is not just written in books or scrolls. Maybe it is etched into stone, waiting patiently for us to notice. And tonight, you have taken one more step into that mystery. Thank you for exploring this strange and beautiful question with me. Until next time, stay curious always.